All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Franchise Empire weekly newsletter live stream. Excited to be here with you guys. You can see on the screen some of the items that we're going to discuss today. The intention of this live stream and newsletter is to bring you great franchise opportunities, really break them down for you in an educational and entertaining manner. My name is Tarek Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of Franchise Empire, and I'm here with Mr. Mark Magerman, who is our head of brokerage. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Tarek, how are you?
Doing fantastic.
Nice to be part of another newsletter.
Yes, sir. Yeah, these are
really nice. I think I mentioned to you, it's really nice when we actually get feedback during the course of the week from people that are following up after hearing this newsletter. So it looks like more and more people are jumping on the Franchise Empire newsletter bandwagon, which is great to hear.
Yes, it is great to hear. Yeah, if you guys, by the way, as we're diving in, let us know what city and state that you're tuning in from. Would love to know where you're tuning in from, or if you're watching the replay, just drop us a comment and let us know that you're watching the replay, and then what city and state you're tuning in from. I may have to pause myself a couple times and cough. I'm recovering a little bit from a little something, so I'll do my best to not cough in directly into the microphone. All right, so today what we are going to hit and discuss, we're going to talk about an attractive resale with 1.4 million in annual sales. We're going to talk. Oh, I forgot. I caught myself.
Got to put your disclaimer up there.
Yep. All right, there we go. Solid franchise with average gross revenue of $2.8 million. And then let's see, corporate to ownership, Keith's path to something bigger, which is one of our clients, one of our success stories of him becoming an owner. And the most recent podcast. Yes, this is a podcast. This secret franchise built 60 plus locations, and you've never heard of it. That was actually a really entertaining podcast. All right, let's talk about the resale. The resale is one that we have shared, at least the brand is one that we've shared many times before, because they have many attractive resale opportunities. They're one of the brands that consistently have solid resales. Would you agree with that, Mark?
I would.
Okay. And so, yeah, we like to show it whenever we can. There's a newer one. And part of this, what happens is resales are interesting. Before we dive into the specifics of this one, if it's with a newer brand and there's a bunch of resales, probably not a good sign if the brand's less than 5 years old. But when you have a brand like Budget Blinds, who's been around since 1996, maybe longer than some of you have been watching,
or alive.
That's what I meant to say.
I don't think anybody's been watching your newsletters as good as they are since 1996, Tarek. I think that's asking a lot. That would be loyalty,
right?
Yeah.
Back to the Future. Eight-year-old Tarek sitting here,
right,
sucking his thumb doing newsletters. Right. Although we did have someone on our team that we learned was born in 2000, 2001. It was like, oh, wow, interesting.
Actually, it was 2003, which just did not make me really happy at all.
I love that you have such a good memory, Mark. My memory is not the best, and the fact that you're just good with numbers and stuff like that, huh?
Well, yeah, but my memory isn't that great. But I remember when she told us she was born in 2003, that stuck with me for some strange reason. So.
I hear you. I know it's funny to think about, but okay. Back to this, guys, is resales like Budget Blinds who've been around a long time. Franchise agreements come up for renewals. You have people that have been franchisees for 10, 15, 20 years. They're ready to retire, exit, etc. So something like this is an attractive opportunity. Let's talk about it. It's in Central South Carolina. Again, more and more, we are not going to put the city in the exact area that these resales are in. Sometimes we're not going to list the brand based on the request from franchisors and the sellers of these businesses for confidentiality. So, of course, at any point in time, if you want more information on this specific resale, I'll drop what you can do below, but it's just franchiseempire.com/resales. But okay, so the asking price is 1.06 million, annual sales of 1.45 million. 2 territories are included. If you want information on the cash flow, go to franchiseempire.com/resales, and we can get you connected with the seller after an NDA is signed. And they provide both residential, commercial window treatments. And if I'm sorry, I missed the saying who Budget Blinds is. If you guys aren't familiar, but Budget Blinds is the leader in providing high quality window coverings and treatments, curtains, blinds, that sort of thing. They have over 1,200 franchise units, which is just wild to think about. And by the way, we have some other Budget Blinds and Home Franchise Concept resales. Home Franchise Concept is Budget Blinds' parent company, and they have other franchise brands underneath it. These are some of the areas that I marked where there are quality resales available in those markets or regions. When I say quality resale, generally it's a resale priced at $400,000 to $500,000 or more. And the reason why I say it's quality is because typically if it's priced at that amount, it implies that it's producing a kind of a range of profit or sales. And that's the justification of the price tag. So that's my thought on that. We won't spend a tremendous amount of time since we covered Budget Blind so many times. Our take, solid resale, right? It's hard to find good resale opportunities, especially one that's priced at $1 million. I remember one time we had a client, this was about 1.5 years ago, and he was freaking out because we showed him a resale that was priced at like $950,000. He's like, I don't know. It's a lot of money. And it was like, dude, the more a resale is priced, typically the more it's earning in terms of profits. It's a good thing. You should look at it as a good thing. The cheaper a resale is priced, typically the lower it's producing in terms of profits. So if you're looking for something that's producing, if you're looking to get a business that's producing the most amount of cash flow, then you want it to have a higher price tag. A high price tag is a good thing. That's the reframe. So, and to a point that Mark makes often is that these, solid resales often get scooped up by neighboring franchisees. I tend to find, Mark, I think what I'm starting to see and realize is that in the service space, it doesn't quite happen the way I think maybe brick and mortar kind of the way the consolidation occurs with some of these people that own 40 Dunkin' Donuts and just kind of like obscene amounts. You don't really see. I don't know. What's the most franchise territories you've seen or heard of someone owning in the service space? Mine's 11.
I don't think I know anybody that has more than that. 11. Yeah, but you make a very fair point, right? So I think in service resale, going back to our story at Five Guys, we sold 14 restaurants, right? You're not selling one Five Guys restaurant. So typically brick and mortar, you're selling multiple units. I think in the service area, you've got a lot of franchise owners who might own 1 or 2 territories who are selling, which, maybe if someone owns, 4 or 5 territories, they don't have an appetite to add one. So maybe it becomes available and it's more likely. I don't know. I don't think there's any method to the madness. I think you got to dive in and do the due diligence all the time. Again, I'm always leery of certain resales, but with this brand, with 1,200 franchise operating, I don't even know, this might be wrong, but I think it's right. I don't know that we've ever done a territory check in the last 6 months with Budget Blind that comes back with open territory. So it's almost no open territory. So with no open territory, you can't expect the franchise network to buy out 1,500, 1,200 other owners. So that's why these are the kind of brands that do attract legitimate opportunities. And I also wanted to make one other comment. It's central. I think the area was, what was it? Central. Where was this one available? Central South Carolina. Yeah. So, and this is just a story for anybody out there who's looking into this. We had a couple weeks ago, we had a resale up in Southwest Illinois. I don't recall the brand. The brand escapes me. We had a gentleman reach out, and as it turned out, because the town or the region wasn't listed, it turned out that the candidate lived an hour and a half or 2 hours outside the territory, which made him not necessarily a good candidate. So keep in mind as well, you need to ultimately live within the territory parameters. That's one of the prerequisites the franchisor and the resale will probably have, because they know that if you have to drive 2.5 hours into your territory every day, you got less likelihood of success.
Yeah, it's a valid point. I've actually the years that we've been doing this, I've seen people move excuse me, just to
Yes.
specifically just to get a territory with an attractive franchise. It happened with a guy with Precision Garage, because I think they stop offering franchises period now because they pretty much sold out.
Right.
And there was I guess a market available, and the guy moved to become a franchisee with them. But okay, just to put a bow on this, this the cool thing about something like Budget Blinds, as an example, and maybe starting with 1 or 2 territories as resales. In this case, it's 2 territories, right? You can keep stacking. So a buddy of mine who owns 11 territories, he started buying one single resale territory with Budget Blinds. And then gradually, over the years, him and his business partner bought a couple other resale territories with Budget Blinds, a couple more. Now they've become the go-to in the overall market that he's in. As soon as franchisees are ready to sell, they reach out, of course, to him. Now him and his business partner own 11 territories. They run a giant business now. And so that's what I mean by empire building. With such an established franchise system, once you get in, you'll be able to likely buy nearby territories as owners look to retire, allowing you to build an empire through acquisitions. Now, he started out, I'm not going to say the market he's in, because it's just going to make things too obvious, but he started out very close. Like, that's the proximity. He started out buying his resales in proximity to the first and second that he was in. But the last 3, I think this last one he did, it was 3 or 4 territories. It was a giant deal. It was basically, I think, almost going to double the size of their business. But it was 2.5 hours out from like all the other territories. But because of how big their team is now, like, they can, and their history and track record with the franchisor allowed them to make that move. But if you're walking into Mark's point, as Joe Schmo's never run and operated the business in that franchise, you're not going to be able to buy a territory 2.5 hours out from you. But he's building an empire, guys. He's building a true franchise empire. 11 territories is something insane. Budget Blinds has a well-known brand name. They do national advertising. Last year alone, Budget Blinds spent nearly $10 million on internet, radio, and TV advertising, generate new business for franchise owners, driving over 400,000 increase. Again, home franchise concepts, family of other like-minded business owners to rely on, provide referrals to and from, and have a way to scale your empire by potentially adding on a complementary business. So if you're interested in learning more about exactly where this resale is in South Carolina and getting connected with the owner, go to franchiseempire.com/resales. Or if you just want to see, hey, are there any resales in any of the markets in the market that I'm in, either with Budget Blinds, home franchise concepts, or any of the over 100 resales that Franchise Empire has within our inventory, then you can still go to franchiseempire.com/resales. After you fill out the information, you'll schedule a free call with our team, and we'll be able to dive in a little bit more and then see what's available in your market. And if for some reason there's nothing available and you want to talk about other opportunities, that happens often as well. And that's perfectly fine. I'm going to cut through this one pretty quickly and then pass it to Mark on our franchise of the week. But we always want to make sure to celebrate one of our new franchise owners through Franchise Empire, because at the end of the day, we are in the business of helping people become entrepreneurs, which is a life-changing dream come true for many people. I know owning my franchise was the gateway to what I always wanted to experience as an entrepreneur. And so Keith was a very, very successful C-suite exec looking to shift from earner to owner. And after years of building a strong corporate career, I actually work with Keith directly. So I can really speak to this without reading from it, but he deeply wanted to build something of his own. Like he really wanted to be an entrepreneur, build a legacy, and really, having been in his mid 50s, he was like, now's the time. If I don't do it now, probably not going to do it ever. So now's the time. And he was just kind of tired of the corporate toxicity and drama and just kind of all that stuff. And so initially he watched this newsletter and learned about a resale in his area for a specific painting franchise. And so when I had my first meeting with him, he said, hey, I'm interested in that resale, but I definitely want to see what other options are available to, compare and contrast against. I don't want to look at just one thing. And his wife, Beth, was involved in the calls and the meetings. And so we explored some options, and eventually they actually chose to go the new territory route, and they chose not to buy the resale, and that the new territory with Bloomin' Blinds actually fit their needs better. And they actually bought one territory, not two. I got that wrong. So congrats to them. Super exciting. And especially with just meeting with him, Mark, and seeing that look on his face when we had that second meeting of just saying like, man, I really want this. And actually it was, our second or third meeting, Mark, where he said initially he was not going to leave his job. And, his wife was going to kind of be the main person doing the day-to-day. He was going to be involved. But then as he started going through the process, he said, no, he said, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. And that was when he said, if it's not now, then, when? And I want to go all in. I want to make this thing happen. I'm really hungry and motivated. So I'm going to go full-time right away. And I was like, whoa. And obviously we love that because you're putting yourself in a better position to succeed.
No doubt. Couple comments if I could make it here. So we're talking about Bloomin' Blinds is what these guys ended up with. Budget Blinds was our resale. We do maintain more than one brand in different categories in our portfolio, right? So I just want to make people, there's not just one blinds brand that we deem good enough to be presented. In this case, Bloomin' Blinds and Budget Blinds are both excellent brands. We work with both of them because, again, so many times Budget Blinds might not be available, the resale might not be available, but Bloomin' Blinds is. So that's just, if anybody had questions, is that a competition or a conflict of interest? Absolutely, it's definitely not. And the other point I'll make on this was when they decided to do the new instead of resale, I tell candidates all the time, I think there's less risk with new territory than with a resale, right? Because you're probably paying a lot less for that new territory. You've got nothing to lose because there's no business in there. So I have a lot of respect for Keith. I'd never met him. I've heard you talk about him, but he went forward probably like I'd have gone forward, which is let me start from scratch, roll up my sleeves. I'll make it successful. I don't necessarily want to buy someone else's potential problems. So I like Keith. You had me at hello with Keith.
Nice. And to Mark's point, guys, actually, and this is why, by the way, never go directly to the franchisor when we share this information with you. This is part of how we make money. So if you want to find out if they're available, go through Franchise Empire and we'll do the territory checks for you. But part of what we just had a whole conversation about when Mark was in town is if you go direct to the franchisor, all roads lead to that franchise. And it goes back to the phrase, if the only tool you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail, right? And so from a franchisor's perspective, we love our franchisors, the good ones. But if you reach out to them, they're not going to say, hey, Mark, I know you reached out about our franchise, but I actually think this other one here is a better fit for your needs. No, they're not going to say that. But when you work with Franchise Empire, we are franchise agnostic. We work with hundreds. So it's like, hey, what works best for your needs? Whether you buy Bloomin' Blinds, Budget Blinds, whether you buy no blinds, we don't care. It's just about helping you accomplish your goal and get linked up with the right franchise. And so that's why it's always better to work with a group like us or a franchise broker that has multiple options that they can help you with.
Yeah, let me piggyback on that too as well, because sometimes there's a misconception out there that if I use a broker, I'm going to pay more for the franchise than if I don't. That's actually kind of laughable to me, because it's like, what are you talking about? You're saying that if you go to the franchisor directly, it's going to cost X, but because you're using a broker, the franchise is going to know to charge you more. That just doesn't make a lot of logical sense. But the reality is, it doesn't cost you any more money to use a broker. We hope you choose Franchise Empire, but please choose somebody, because it's almost like trying to buy a house. If you're relocating to a new area to live, it makes a lot of sense to hire a realtor who knows the area, who knows the landscape. So it doesn't cost any money to use a broker. Yeah, we get compensated if we successfully find a candidate and help them find a brand, but it doesn't cost the candidate any money, and it would be just suicide, in my opinion, to go it alone. Because to your point, the brand isn't going to say, have you thought about another brand? And again, the brand's probably going to say, yeah, well, you know what, Tarek, that territory's not right in your backyard, but it's the one we have available about 40 miles away. I think that'll still be good for you, when it may or it may not be. So get a second opinion, because again, at the end of the day, we couldn't care less what brand you go with, as long as it checks all your boxes and meets your criteria.
Yeah, and when you work with us, by the way, I'm going to go grab it real quick. We're going to start sending our clients really cool stuff. Hold on.
So so there you go. So you got swag too on top of it. Tarek's really proud of this stuff.
So we just started ordering cool swag, and actually the shirts and hats just came, Mark, the boxes on the counter. I know you guys really don't care about pens, but I like the pen. But this, once you become a franchise owner through Franchise Empire, you will get this awesome mug that says Franchise Millionaire, and it looks super cool, and you'll get to drink your coffee or whatever your beverage of choice is, looking and going, Franchise Millionaire. I'm a franchise millionaire. And speaking that vision into reality, which is, I think, super cool. And by the way, clients, if you're watching this, we're getting ready to send you guys out one, so don't worry.
Yeah, and again, there's reason enough to buy a franchise, even if you don't want to own a franchise, because you get that mug. So come on. That's probably worth about $350,000 right there in investment.
Exactly. All right, cool. Franchise of the week. In spirit of our new team member, Kelly, who was a franchisee with Benjamin Franklin, I figured I'd pick them for this week. But Mark, take us away from
Sure.
here.
I'll just read the description now, because the description is better than I'd explain it. But Ben Franklin Plumbing offers residential and light commercial plumbing, maintenance, repair, remodeling, replacement, water conditioning maintenance, repair, and replacement, drain and septic tank, digging, cleaning, repiping, and replacement. So everything plumbing related, Ben Franklin can support. The franchisee's role, as it is in all of the service industries that we talk about ad nauseum, so to speak, is to manage your team of technicians, which also means finding, hiring, training, and developing. So managing your team and your support staff, customer service, which in the home service industry now, it's about 5-star reviews. Networking, please don't underestimate. Networking in your local community is so critically important to these businesses and to the success and meeting with your potential customers. They do want you to have an office. Doesn't have to be 5-star real estate space, but it needs to have an office where you can meet with your team and hold some of your products. You start with one service vehicle and one installation vehicle and add more as your business grows. So relatively thin, lean startup opportunity. A little bit about Ben Franklin. It's owned by a company called Authority Brands, which we'll get into in a minute, which we love. But and these are the success stories that we love. This business was founded in 2001. Okay, in 2010, the business was purchased by Direct Energy. So Direct Energy Services and Clockwork Home Services combined to become one of the nation's largest providers of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical services. In 2019, Authority Brands, which Authority Brands is, if not the first, it's the first or second largest family of home service brands in the country. I don't know, Tarek, I think at last check, there's like 22 brands under their umbrella.
Really?
I think, maybe I lose track of the number, but mostly, if not 100%, all non-competing brands. But in 2019, they bought out Clockwork Home Services from Direct Energy, added Ben Franklin Plumbing to their arsenal of 1 Hour Heating and Air, which is their HVAC brand, Mr. Sparky, which is their electrical brand. So now they have all three. So are there franchise owners who own all three? You betcha there are. So they still maintain 10 corporately owned territories, which means the founders, the people who probably started this, maintained it. So the franchisor is also a franchisee. That's a check mark when we look at brands, right? Because if the franchisor is running a franchise, they have to live the life of the franchisee. They know the life, they feel it. So that's a good sign. 335 open franchises. That's just an amazing number. And if we said nothing else, you could stop there, because I'll tell you what, these aren't 335 complete idiots who just decided to who got sold a bill of goods. These are people who are really smart, who understand the value of home service and plumbing, by the way, which I'm sure it's going to show us later on the page. But the beauty of plumbing and HVAC and electric is it's a recession-proof business. Because I'll tell you what, if your plumbing doesn't work in your house, are you going to wait till the economy turns around, or are you fixing your plumbing? So one of the huge things we love about this brand. Franchise fee, which again is the amount of money that a franchise owner will pay the day they sign up to become a franchisee. $43,000 is actually low on the scale of home services. The royalty fee, again, that's what you pay, the franchisees pay out each month to the franchisor. That's a percentage of gross sales, and that's the only way really the franchisor makes income, which they need to support the brand. So 6%, again, relatively on the lower side. A national marketing fee of 1.5 slides down to 0, which is fantastic. As your business grows up, you get a free ride. How about that? And it shows you what the investment range is here. From a new territory ranges from 140 to 286, conversion from 84 to 204. Again, 10-year term is pretty standard, and this is based on the new numbers that just came out this year.
So when I was putting this together, Mark, I thought it was really interesting. I didn't realize that they had a conversion option.
I didn't either until you just showed me that.
Yeah, and usually, some of the FDDs, they'll have the range, like the normal range, and like if you do the development agreement or you do multiple, and I'll just try to keep it simple most of the times and we just put one of the investment ranges underneath here. But I put it because I figured this will give us an opportunity to talk about it, which is, number one, they're attracting people who maybe have their own plumbing company
Absolutely.
and want to convert and use the branding. But for those of you who are out there thinking, hey, I'd love to be able to buy, I want to get the best of both worlds. I want to buy a business and I want the proven systems and structure of a franchise. Well, guess what? I mean, if you were to go buy a new territory, this means that you could connect with the franchisor and be like, hey, can I find a plumbing business for sale in my area and go and convert it? And, obviously there's different complications to that, but it's interesting and it's popular in automotive franchises. It's a common thing in automotive that you got these folks buying mom and pop automotive shops and then rebranding it to the franchise. Very, very popular there. And it's actually popular in the daycare space. I have a buddy of mine who bought a daycare franchise and is focused on that strategy and model right now. He's looking at other daycares to buy and then rebrand it as the franchise. So it's just another tool in your tool belt of kind of different options that are out there in your journey of finding the right fit. And this is why, this is why I love doing this newsletter and what it is that we do at Franchise Empire. No one else really talks about franchise resales, guys, number one. So that's one thing that makes us different. Most franchise brokers, they don't know how they work. They don't want to deal with them. It's too complicated. So they just don't even talk about them. Number two, they're definitely not talking to you about conversions and kind of what the possibility are there. So we just try to provide you as much value and tools in your tool belt so that you can really decide on, hey, what path aligns most with helping you reach your goals and objectives. Let's dive in a little bit of the numbers. I included both little graphs here, and they can be a little bit. Oh, that's going to be No, that will work. All right. So this first table is gross revenue of franchisees by quartile. So let me just explain to you what this means. And this is part of the benefit of watching this as opposed to just reading the email when it comes out on Sunday mornings, is you get the explanation. So each franchisee here may own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever amount of territories. So that's not clear here. But you can see that average gross revenue for franchisees in group, the top, let's go with the lowest, actually. Lowest gross revenue first is $75,000. That's the lowest in the whole system. And then it shows it in each quartile. So the bottom 25%, 75 grand. In the third quartile, the lowest franchisee does 910,000, then 1.6, and then 3.3 million getting into the top quartile. And then when you look at the average in the bottom 25%, the average franchisee does 456,000. The average in the third quartile, 1.2 million. Then you can see 2.4 million. Hold on, let me get my little marker here. There we go. Then, oh, that's way too big. How do we thin it out here? I don't even know how to do that. Okay, so we'll just do this. 2.4 million and then 7 million, right? Now, let's scroll it down. And if we look at now gross revenue by territory, this is where it provides a little bit more clarity, and which is why I wanted to provide both screenshots for you guys. So when we look at these numbers, you get a little bit more clarity. So again, we can see the lowest numbers here. This is especially for disclosure and compliance purposes to make sure that we're not just talking about the highest, which we're not. We're talking about the average, but we show everything, so that keeps us compliant. And average gross revenue per territory, you can see, is $664 per territory. Bottom 25, 233,000. The third quartile, 568. The second quartile, just over $1 million. Top 25% averages 1.8 million per territory, and the lowest performer did a whopping $44,000 in their territory. And let's go with the blue here. And then the highest did 3.3 million in one territory. That's pretty wild, and that's pretty exciting. So that's what I wanted to show you there with the numbers. Mark, you want to bring us home with whatever points that you want to hit on here?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if it's in here, but the first thing and I should have said it up front, but the beauty of these types of home service brands, for anybody out there saying, my God, this looks like it's a great opportunity, but I don't know how to fix anything regarding plumbing. I'm not a plumber. I don't know how to turn a screwdriver. That's okay, because the beauty of these brands is they actually, in many cases, even though this one has a retro, you can take your plumbing business and convert it, they're just as content working with franchise owners who have the passion to do the things that they need to do by following the system. You don't need to be a plumber or even have plumbing experience to be part of this brand because of the training. So keep that in mind. But here's just some of the other benefits that the franchisee gets as being a part of this network. Hiring and training, right? You're going to have a franchise business consultant that works for the brand that's going to help you find and hire good talent. All your employees, and it could even be contractors as well. I don't think they talk much about here the difference, but all the people that are going to work for you, whether they're employees or subcontractors, from dispatchers to technicians, will have a robust over 200 modules of training to choose from to ensure everyone is equipped to do their job well in the Ben Franklin way. So even if somebody has plumbing experience, they're required to go through the Ben Franklin plumbing to do it their way. very important. High margin in private label products. Ben Franklin Plumbing franchisees stay ahead of the competition by having private label products. All I'll say on private label products is it's every bit as good as anything else, except it's going to cost you less money to buy, which means more benefit to your bottom line. Negotiated pricing on equipment and everyday items. BuyMax is the name of the service. And again, you're taking advantage of being part of a national network with hundreds and hundreds of other franchisees. So you get reduced costs, which obviously reduced costs mean profit enhancement. Discounts, not only do they give franchisee fee discounts to minorities, women, veterans, first responders, but as Tarek did a really good job earlier, they have this really cool conversion program. So if you are a plumber and you have your own plumbing business and it's stagnant, or you need a shot of adrenaline, you need something new and exciting, you can always convert it to this brand and take advantage of all of these services and benefits that they provide. And again, it's not an industry that's going away. It's completely recession resistant. You will fit, if your toilet's back up, you are calling a plumber. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if you lost your job or you didn't. You got to fix these things. So one after another, and you do not need to have the experience. That's critically important as well.
Yes. Fantastic. Guys, if you are interested, if you just want to learn if this franchise or what franchises are available in your area, we got to work on that formatting. Then you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory. You'll see it scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Boom. There you go. So if you're interested in Ben Franklin, or if you just go, you know what, Tarek and Mark, these guys are awesome. And man, they've got so much experience in franchising. And we want to work with someone and get guidance from a group that has actually been there and done that, as opposed to someone who has not. And you want to chat just for free and just say, hey, is there anything available in my market? What is available? What would match up with my skill sets? I'm just curious. You don't even have to be dead set on buying a franchise. And by the way, we don't believe in talking anyone into buying a franchise. If anything, we talk more people out of buying a franchise. So if you just want to have like a casual conversation, like, hey, I just want to see what's available in my area. I'm curious if there's anything that aligns up. Yeah, we're happy to take you down that road. But there's no convincing of you buying a franchise because we generally don't believe that everyone should. And if you're pretty much not prepared to go all in terms of your effort and time and mental energy, then you probably shouldn't. So I just wanted to say that. I know Mark probably has a follow-up.
Very fair point, Tarek. I'd even add to that, which is even if you think even if you've had ideas like maybe I'd like to look into what does it take to become a successful franchise owner. We're happy to talk to you as well. Because to Tarek's point, and I don't mean this how it's coming up, but we don't really care if you buy a franchise or you don't, because we're educating our candidates every day. But hop on our calendar and just have a little conversation about, we've been franchise owners before, we've been successful, we know what it takes. Maybe a conversation will steer you toward, wow, this is really something I want to do. So there's no obligation to get on someone's calendar, and we would love to have you. And honestly, I don't say it's 50-50, but in the course of a given week, there's a handful of people that will say, thanks for joining us. I think you should keep your full-time job because I think that's a better plan for you. And if that's how it plays out, then what have you lost?
100%. Very well said. And by the way, our team are pros, true pros. I mean, Mark leads our brokerage team, but we have a team of other full-time franchise brokers. One he created a franchise system. He was a franchisor. And the other is another multi-unit franchisee. So we got a whole all-star team of individuals that have been there and done that, which is pretty cool and important to us as well. Last but not least, our most recent episode of the Zero to Profitable Franchise podcast on the Franchise Empire YouTube channel. Secret franchise built 60 plus locations. this is a really interesting episode. I sat down with a regional developer of a franchise to talk about, number one, the business model of being a regional developer. It's a little bit of an older business model that doesn't really happen. I explained it in the episode. A lot of franchisors, I didn't mean to say it like that. Sometimes after talking for a while, I just lose my words and they don't make sense. The regional developer program, many franchisors don't use it anymore. So it's interesting for you to learn about and watch it. And number two, this guy, Shane, that I sat down with, just one of my favorite podcast episodes. I mean, just sharp, excited, a wealth of knowledge and information. He's been a franchisee. Now he's basically a mini franchisor. I think you'll really enjoy the episode. You got to go here to the Franchise Empire YouTube channel in order to watch it. So definitely go check that out. Or you can listen to it on any of the audio podcast platforms. So with that said, thanks, Mark, for joining. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a great day, and happy July 4th, everybody. We don't see you next week.
Happy 4th of July. Bye.
Thanks, guys.